Boop. Beep, beep, boop, boop. I think this is working. I think this frame rate is too high. Oh well, too late to change that now. Hello? Hey, there's one person in here. What's up? I am just going to do some more comic work today. I'm gonna shade this page. I have been putting off shading this page specifically to do a stream on it, so finally. And wait for maybe a few people to come in. Hello! Hello everyone! Welcome, welcome. Hey! Hey! So, a friend actually has been asking me my process for doing shading on my comics. So I figured I would share that process and do a quick stream. And by quick stream, I mean this will probably last 2 hours or until my internet dies. Because when I say quick stream, it's never quick. But yeah, we'll try to keep this under like 4 hours. Okay, so how about let's do that. Hold on, let me pull up the bleh. Let me pull up the stream on my other computer so I can keep an eye on comments and stuff. I mean, yeah, it slows my computer down if I keep Facebook open on my second screen. So, because my computer is old. So very old. Ah! Ah! Okay. Where's this? Where's this? How is everyone? I know it's like 10:50 a.m. over here. Because I am on Asia time, of course. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Come on. I know how to technology. Cool. Alrighty, let's get started. So here are my inks for this page that I just finished, and I guess let's just get started. Let's see. Not that down. So the way I do shading is, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Let's see. I don't do screen tones or anything like that because there really isn't a need for that. Because printing is good enough now where you know, like the whole reason that comic artists used to use screen tones is because printers were not really that advanced like several decades ago when comics first started going into print. So to get like any gradient, they'd use like dots because, you know, printers print in dots and stuff, but printing is really good now. So like the dots are really, really fine. So you can just print like really delicate gradients. So anyway, so that's why I kind of just paint the shading for my comics, like I'm doing ink wash sort of. See? Oh, you guys can see my layers panel. Ah, hooey. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on the stream chat on my second screen, so feel free to ask anything or just comment on stuff and stuffs. Now Photoshop will stop lagging. I really need a new computer. This is terrible. Oh my word. Why is this? Okay. Come on. Sorry guys, Photoshop is being really slow. I hate this! Ah! Holy crap. Okay. We're good now. We're good. Jeez. Have I mentioned my computer is like 6 years old and everything is really difficult? So. Alright, so the first thing I do is I have this layer that I set to like maybe 50% or so. And right here. And this is really basic stuff. So Casimir's cloak is, I mean, obviously it's really dark, but I've done some of like the lighting and stuff in the spotted blacks and the inks, as you can see. And as you can see, my inks are not like fully raster or like anti-aliased inks or whatever wow, I'm forgetting the exact terminology for it. But it's inks with a little bit of gray tone, basically. So I'm also doing it that way because like printing is pretty good now. There's no need to do like sharply, purely black and white inks. Like I'm basically, it's kind of like half inks. I call it half inking. It kind of looks like an in-between of pencils. So my inks have like a lot of gray tones in them, so I get like a lot of textures and lighting in, but I still add some more textures and lighting when I do the shading. Hey Logan! What's up? What's up? Hey yo. Let's see. So yeah, I have a lot of texture and lighting in my inks already, but I will just kind of push that further with my shading. And right now I'm just using like a really basic Photoshop brush on like 100%, but my layer is set to, how much is this, like 57%. So usually I will kind of fill in the local colors or like the local shades for some like objects. Like for example, Casimir's shirt is also dark and Ivar's hair is like burgundy, so that's kind of a gray tone as well if you translate that to value. So I will do that. I will kind of like fill in the local, the local values of things. And then I'll go over with like a layer that's set to maybe like 30% and kind of paint the overall lighting for the entire scene, if you know what I mean. So I think I'll try to do like the first panel tonight. I'm not gonna do the whole page because it'll probably kill my computer, but yeah. Let's try to get through the first panel. Woo-doo-doo. Logan says, you're watching the magic? The magic? Magic, this isn't magic. This is just Photoshop lagging on me. Glad you can join though. Yeah, if anyone has any questions or if you're just joining, feel free to type it in the comments. Just holla, let me know. I'm keeping my eye on the chat, so just let me know. This is like kind of a weird time to stream because like it's so complicated. I'm trying to catch both, like I have some friends in Taiwan and like it's like I want to stream at an hour, like a humane hour where they can hop on a stream, but like I know, most people I talk to are in the States, so there's no like sane time where I can do art streams and sort of catch everybody. It's a little so wild. First world problems, everybody. First world problems. Speaking of America, though, guys, I'm going to be back in Atlanta soon. Did you know that? I'm going to be back in Atlanta. That's going to be fun. Yay, Atlanta! I am, not really looking forward to, like, the exuberant prices of living in the States. I'm looking forward to a lot about moving back to the States. Can't wait to see my friends again. But, like, oh my god, everything's gonna be so expensive. Holy cow. And let's see. Okay, Halbrand's is this jolly fat character in the back. And he's about to get eaten by a monster in like 2 pages, so it's great. He's basically like a sacrificial character. But, so, what was I saying? I was saying, oh yeah, Atlanta. It's been like, what? It's so long. It's been like 5 years since I left Atlanta, and everything is like more expensive there because it's like I don't know what it is. The city got a lot nicer, got fixed up a little because there's a lot of money coming in from the film industry, but everything is more expensive, so it's okay. I'll figure it out. Oops, that was a mistake. Let's not do that. Oh my gosh. Yup, really going back to Atlanta. Yup. But I am looking forward to being back in the States because it's like most of the conventions I do are in the States, and Taiwan is nice because it's cheap and it's super convenient. But I feel like, I want to start doing like when I do some stuff like shipping products and stuff, and I want to do more, start doing more commissions and start like I'm doing a Indiegogo right now, so I'm printing art books, and I'll probably be doing, printing more art book projects or like my own comic and stuff. And most of my audience is in the States because I do, I work in English, or like since I have some of my audience is in Europe or Canada. But the point remains, like, it's really difficult to ship things from all the way in Asia, and it's really difficult to do most conventions. So I think I'll try. It'll be fun to try out being in the States again. I think that'll help like some parts of what I'm doing. Yeah, it's not that I don't like Taiwan. It's so convenient here and the weather's great, but hey, that's always been my life, like stuck between 2 countries, always going back and forth. It's just my life. Oh my gosh, come on. You guys like Halbrand's design? He's funny. He's so jolly and happy. I don't really know what hair color he has. I guess like brown. Well, I didn't think of it because I'm not really drawing him in color. But yeah, so even though Halbrand and some of the other characters in these like caravans, this is still the beginning. This is the first chapter of my comic. So like the basic premise is you have Casimir and Ivar, the 2 boys in front. They're trying to track down this crazy monster that showed up in the woods and killed somebody from like the town that they're not from. Ivar is from the town. The town is called Alstad. But Casimir is not from there, but he lives nearby, so whatever. But Casimir has seen these monsters years and years ago. There were these kind of like demonic-looking, weird Cthulhu-ish monsters that killed everybody in his hometown, like far away, and he was the only survivor. It's this crazy, really, really horrific story. But he was the only survivor, so he ran away and he grew up somewhere else, and right now he lives near this other town of Alstad. So, and like the world I've designed is kind of, everything is kind of in the middle of like mountains and nature. Like I based it on really like a pre-pagan era, society, or not pre-pagan, but like a pagan era society, like the country that Ivar and Casimir are living in. It's kind of like, it's very much pre-Christian, Eastern Europe, but there's like tons of other countries in my world. Like I have a southern continent that's kind of Persian and Indian inspired, and of course I have like my version of fantasy Asia. So it's a huge world because I'm crazy and I like to design everything, and I love to do world building. So there's a lot to this world, but right now, anyways, what was my point? My point was yes. So they're basically traipsing through the backwoods near Alstad, their town, looking for this monster. And while they're just walking around, there's this guy driving a caravan that's a caravan for like a traveling theater troupe, and he's like super happy and he's really chatty, and it's he's like the jolliest, most friendly, outgoing person, and it really annoys Casimir because it really annoys him because Casimir is extremely antisocial, but Ivar is like the nice guy. But anyways, they're like just chatting on the road, but then like halfway through them talking, the monster just leaps out of the woods and kills Halbrand. So that's what happens. But circling back to my main point, even though like Halbrand is kind of introduced as a sacrificial lamb, he is an important character in the sense that there's one character, well, not the only survivor from the caravan. Like it's a very small theater troupe, so there's like 5 or 6 people, but like everyone is killed by the monster or dies of their injuries. There's one guy who survives, but he's crippled, his legs are both broken, so he survives. But the only person who kind of survives without like any major, disabilities is a young girl called Yomi, which is one of my major characters, and that's how she joins Ivar and Casimir on their quest to like find out the truth behind these monsters, right? So, but she is basically Halbrand's adopted daughter, so like, even though Halbrand seems like kind of a throwaway character, he's not, because he had a really big impact on Yomi. He took her in, like she was born a slave, but he bought her, set her free, and like, but she still stayed with his theater troupe because they were like a family to her. So yeah, and he shows up in like her flashbacks and all that stuff. So that's what's happening right now. Kind of a sad beginning to the story, but hey, what do you expect? I feel like every story I write is like really sad. I don't know what's wrong with me. Ooh, that is way too dark. Okay, so this is all just one layer that's set to like, this is like 57% or something. Come on, Photoshop. How about, there we go. Okay. But like, what am I doing? But some areas of the shading, let's see. Let me finish strap and then continue what I was saying. Wow, so good at teaching, Irene. So good at explaining myself. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and by the way, I am going to New York Comic Con and Tokyo Comic Con. Yay! That's finally just confirmed, so see you guys there if anyone is gonna be there. Logan asks, why is every story sad? Oh, I said, no, like I tend to write sad stories. I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a complete tragedy. I feel like the ending for Fiendish, I already know the ending. Like, so I have the story summary is completely typed up. So I know everything that happens, even though I just like, I have it broken down into 3 arcs. I haven't done the chapter breakdowns yet, but I kind of want to leave it, like, this is why I'm so worried and anxious about pitching to a publisher, cause I kind of have I know where I'm going, but I want to play the details by ear, right? And I feel like a publisher will be very nervous about the way I approach things. But so my point, I know the ending of Fiendish, and it's like bittersweet, but I don't really write happy endings. I just don't like to. But it's not completely sad, it's bittersweet. Like, I know the ending for Fiendish, and it's bittersweet. And it's pretty optimistic, I think, but, not everybody survives. It's just, like, I'm not telling a story that's like a happy fairy tale. It's a very real story, so So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of sadness, but I like the ending, and yeah, I think you guys will feel fulfilled with the direction the story goes in. Okay, so what I was saying before, so see, everything is just on like one layer. That's actually, I'm gonna turn that down a bit too. There we go. I'm gonna turn that to like 47% because 57% was a little too dark. I kind of just eyeball how dark things need to be because some scenes are lighter, some scenes are darker. But so Ivar's hair is a little too dark here like this. So I just take an eraser and kind of knock it back a little bit. But like you should really open like several layers and just like do, oh, one layer that's like the 30% shades and one layer that's the 40% shades. But I don't. I just do it all in one layer. Because I'm a rebel. No, I'm not. Okay, and I'm knocking in some very light highlights as we go, very lightly. I mean, it's just whatever looks good, honestly. All right, and now let's fill in Halbrand's hair as well. So I'm thinking he has like light brown hair. Let's see. Let's fill that in. Of course, he's got this little bandana thing. So Halbrand is, I feel like he grew up in Drupa, which is like this southern, like kind of Indian and Persian inspired continent. I mean, it's a huge continent, but the countries that are closest to Valden is a country that Ivar and Casimir are living in. The part that's closest to them is kind of like sort of my equivalent of an Indian Persian-ish, like, but a fantasy version, you know, of like sort of that general culture. But it's a huge continent, so it's a southern continent, and it's just, of course, there's like, you go further south, it's just deserts and then rainforests. But Halbrand grew up in Drupa, but he's from Glios, which is kind of fantasy Europe, but we don't go there. It's complicated. I'll show you guys. You guys will know. You guys will understand when you see my world map. But yeah. So Halbrand he's technically, ethnically from Gliosian, but he grew up in Drupa. So kind of just a little character detail. I have very complicated world building. It's a little ridiculous. Mildly ridiculous. There we go. So yeah, I filled in his hair areas, but kind of knocked back the shading little. And fill in his mouth too, his big old mouth. Gonna knock that area back because that's his tongue. That's a little lighter. And fill in Ivar's tongue and mouth area as well. So I generally, if I feel pretty confident about a page, I'll just do all like I call this the local area shading. I'll just do it all on like one single layer because like I kind of, there is no sort of question about the value that everything is. Like I've been drawing these characters for a while. So I don't need to like kind of play around with maybe this looks better, maybe that looks better. No, I kind of know what the values for everything. But okay, so I'm also going to do this. I don't know if you guys can see my brushes on screen. Damn, I don't think the screen capture shows my brushes. But so this is like a soft, big eraser. I'm gonna knock it back to like 30% or so. And I'm gonna just very lightly erase like the shoulder area of Casimir's cloak, because that's kind of facing upward. That's like the lightest area. So I'll also like lighten that up a little bit. It's all just very organic. Don't think too much about it. Just whatever looks good. Yay! I'll knock back Ivar's hair as well. This is broad daylight, sun's out. The lighting would be pretty strong. So yeah, I do my shading. Let me save real quick. Always save, everybody. So I do my shading, like my local value shading, then my kind of lighting shading. and then I also add like a layer of white. So I'll paint in like some glow from the sunlight, and that helps to separate the planes, you know? Like the foreground from the foreground. Like sometimes if you throw in some like white haze, that adds to an atmospheric effect. So I do that at the end. So we'll see if we get to that today. I don't know how far I can get today. Let's continue. Actually, excuse me. I'm gonna start out. Oh no, it's fine. Yeah. All right. Excuse me. So Casimir's shirt is dark as well. Oh, you can see my brush? Cool, good. Yeah, because I have my window capture set to just Photoshop, but sometimes I don't know what it shows on Photoshop. Like it doesn't just show everything on my screen. It's locked to Photoshop, but sometimes it shows notifications, sometimes it doesn't. Cool. Drink some tea. So I don't cough up a lung. Pardon me. Right. And there we go. Sure. And you know what? I'm gonna open a second layer. Cause here we go. And I'm gonna see, this is all one layer, but I just opened a second layer. I'm gonna set that to like 30% or so. I think that's about right. And I'm doing that because like this shirt area, this kind of undershirt, is a very light value, but it still needs to be shaded in. And it's right up against the darker clothing, so let's see. Yeah. Just to avoid make it easier to adjust. I'll do that on the second layer. So I'm gonna, you guys can't see my layer names, but I'll just name it like shade dark and shade light. Yeah, so here's like my 30% layer, and here's my, I don't know how much is it. This is like my 50% layer. So usually I have like, so light tone things and dark tone things. I kind of just, my first stage of shading things is I just fill all that in. Should I do the background separately? Nah. Let's just do it all in one layer. I get really impatient when I have to do shading because it's like, I've been working on this page forever. I just want to get it over with. I get super impatient. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Because I'm writing it, I'm doing the layouts, penciling it, inking it, and God forbid I have to color anything. Oh my word. I would never, I don't color myself. I would just be bashing my head against the wall if I had to color myself. Like I have some color pages for Fiendish. I hired a colorist. Yeah. So you guys might have seen me post some of the color pages. Those are colored by I don't know if he goes by Carlos or Nick. I call him Nick. So those colors are by Nick Zamudio. He's a really good colorist, so check him out. But yeah, I hired a colorist because I hate coloring myself. I get sick of looking at my crap after I've done everything from the writing to the inking. So yeah, there's that. Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't show the tools or menus for the brush. Oh, that's a bummer. Alright, I guess I have to do like full screen capture for that. Maybe I'll do that next time. Yeah, I had it set to lock on Photoshop because sometimes I have to open other apps. I'm streaming through like a streaming program called OBS. I sometimes have to open OBS and adjust things, and I don't want like people to, all that distracting stuff like me looking through my browser and checking the Facebook stream and stuff to take away from I'm supposed to be streaming my art, so I locked it on Photoshop. But man, it's complicated. Why is technology so complicated? I feel like such an old lady. I don't know how to work anything. I always have a coughing fit right when I'm like gonna do a stream. I never have coughing fits. Every time I start to do a stream, I'm just like, wow. Seriously. So very graceful. So graceful. Oh, by the way, I'm working on like having better spotted blacks. So like if I take my shading off, you see, so I have like much more, you see, I'm proud of myself. I had so much more spotted blacks on my page than I did before, because I used to, like, I'm a really line art based thinker. The way I draw things is all, I do outlines, but I have to start doing more like shades and lighting, because like I want, it helps things to read better, right, if you do your shading and lighting well. But it just helps legibility, and I have to make this comic really easy to read, so that's something I'm working on. But I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. Actually, I'm gonna adjust something in the inks real quick. See that wagon roof that's all black? Let's see. My layer mask. I'm gonna add a layer mask to it and kind of build in some lighting. It's just a little adjustment. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm just gonna lighten that roof a little bit. Add some depth to it. That's on a layer mask, by the way, so I can adjust it afterwards. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that roof is a little lighter now. And this one as well. So many layers. I wish you guys could see my layers panel. It's like, I have like 3 backgrounds layers. I have the wagon, like a whole folder of the just for the wagon, and I have like, well, I only have like 3 layers for the figures, for the people. So I keep the people on one layer, then like objects, vehicles, like wagons or animals or vehicles, and then backgrounds in another folder. So I have a lot of layers in my inks. It's a little ridiculous. Alright, I'm done with that. Alright, back to shading. I just saw that big dark area on the roof, and I thought I should lighten it up a little bit because it looked a little unnatural. Okay, back. Let's see. I was shading these branches. Branches. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys are interested, I'm doing my first Indiegogo campaign. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm not doing it for much, but still, it's like a little nervous because I've just never done it before. But like, I keep on putting off crowdfunding because I feel, I don't know, I tend to be cautious about going into, like, I don't know. I think it's good to be cautious, but you can't be too cautious. So I gotta stop being a baby and just like hop into it sooner or later. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo for my art book, Regrowth. I did like a preliminary printing last year, but I have a lot more new stuff in this printing. Like, I mean, the print run I did last year was really small. I only printed like 40 books, and it was like a test print run basically. But so the one, like this second printing I'm doing it's much more newer stuff. It's like 70 pages, and it's black and white so far. The interior is black and white, the cover is color, and I want to make it really nice and pretty. And I'm thinking if I can raise enough funds, I want to make the cover title, like, I want to print it with gold foil so it could be a nice coffee table book. Like, I want it to be really nice. But it's 70 pages of line art and sketches and some comic work as well. It's gonna look really nice. But if, like, so far the interiors are all just black and white, but if I can raise enough, I'm gonna make the interiors color. So, you should check it out. Oh, I'm gonna just, here. Let me open, while I save this, I can show you guys. Yay! Let's see. Does this work? Let me show you real quick. This won't take long. There we go. Yay! So check it out. I have it on, this is just like the coming soon. If you go to, it's filed under comics on Indiegogo. And I chose Indiegogo because they let you do like partial funding. So, cause I want to make sure everybody gets their stuff, even if it doesn't reach like my goal. So it's on Indiegogo, and if you go to the comics section, it's on the top. I think I've had a handful of people sign up for it already. So, it's right at the top of the comic section. It's I guess that means it's popular. Yay! But it's regrowth. The thumbnail it's kind of like just the cover here, but oh no, the thumbnail is this image here with like my Alita drawing and the cover. I'm really proud of these mock-ups, by the way. These are mock-ups. I made them myself. I'm proud of me. But here's just my little intro page. Here's like a sneak peek at the interior. It's tons of really detailed line art, but and like just doodles of things, but and some comics in the back. But oh, so it comes with like a whole set of things. I have for people who don't, you don't want to pledge a lot, like I have a PDF and like a PSD of the cover. That's like the most basic here. But I also have like a sticker, enamel pin, and I have a print, like a limited print of the efflorescence drawing that I just finished, which is the print you see on, oh no, you can't see it from here. Ah, there we go. Oh my god. OBS, why do you hate me? There. So that's a whole set. I think that looks nice. So there's a print, art book, sticker, pin, and I have like a bunch of digital files too. So check that out, guys. Check that out. You're gonna love it. All right, back to work now. Back to work. Hey. So I'm pretty excited about that. If it's, I don't know, I'd like to do more. Like I find crowdfunding really fascinating, because I feel really limited when it comes to working with publishers. Like, so says the person that hasn't really done independent, like publish anything independently with like a publisher or anything. I have pitched to publishers before, but nothing has been really successful. Like I've just taken, franchise work from Marvel and some pinup work from Image. But like working with publishers might sort of like I know the pitch process. Like I've been working on writing up a pitch for Fiendish for several publishers, and like every publisher has kind of a template or a way they like their pitches to be. So by the way, if you're pitching anything to comic publishers, like research what they want to see, because some publishers are like, we don't want to see your character descriptions, we don't want to know, we want to see your story breakdown, we want it to be short. Especially publishers that get a lot of submissions, they're just like, we want it to be short, we don't want to hear your character's backstory. Like they want to be sold on your idea right away. So do some research on what the publisher likes to see. But yeah, that would be smart. But I've been writing pitches for Fiendish, and like, I think I got it down pat. Like I know my story. I know how to do the pitch. It's a giant story, but I have it summarized into like about 4 short paragraphs, which I'm pretty proud of myself with. And of course I have like the concept, the log line, but I still feel a little limited because I want to do the way I want to do my comic is so weird for American comics. Like I want to try doing, if possible, I want to do bi-monthly chapters. So like one chapter every 2 months, but I want to do more material. So because I feel like it's just more enjoyable that way. Like every time I read American comics, I feel like 22 pages. Well, American comics tends to have really dense storytelling, but I like to spread my storytelling out a little bit more because I'm really influenced by manga. Manga tends to have slower storytelling. So I want to pace things out a little more. And I'm also doing a thing where I'm doing larger panels because I want my comic to read well on tablets and phone screens because that's really important now. I read comics on webtoons, especially in Asia. So I am specifically designing my comic to read well like on a phone. So that means bigger panels, less panels per page. That means it would benefit to have longer chapters. And I want to do 40 to 45 page chapters bi-monthly. I think that's not too painful for readers to, you know, wait a little. I don't think that would piss readers off too much. But I don't know what publisher would be okay with that. That on top of the fact that I'm like a new creator. I mean, new when it comes to indie. Like I've done franchise work, but that's not the same as like trusting, you know, a publisher trusting me with doing something completely brand new. Like, basically, I'm an unproven writer, right? So, and it's a kind of a big project, and I just feel like, I mean, I wouldn't really blame them, but I feel like they wouldn't trust me with it. So, I've been whining about it, and like, my old professor was just like, he didn't say this verbatim, but basically, and he's right. It's just like, just pitch it. Shut up. Just stop being a bitch and pitch it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like you never know unless you try, right? So I'm gonna try. I have like a few publishers lined up. Like I said, I've been working on some pitches. Should I finish reading that? No, I'm gonna finish panel 1 because I'm here to show you guys my process. So I'll finish other panels. Like usually I do the shading for the whole page altogether, but I'm just gonna focus on finish panel 1 now. I had to fill this in as well because that's dark. That's like the interior of the wagon. Oh no, I have sniffles too. Ugh, excuse me. Pardon me. So gross. But I just feel like working for, I don't know, publishing with like publishers is a little limiting. But you never know unless you try, right? You never know. I'm also like, I have a feeling they'll want me to change some things. First of all, I have a feeling they're going to be weirded out by my concept because if I don't explain like the world building, it sounds like it makes no sense. And I feel like they'll want to change a lot of things because they won't trust me. But like, I mean, if it's good critique, I will change things. Like, and I've been throwing like this idea and my story elements and everything and my pitches to some other comic artist friends, and I've been getting my stuff reviewed. I've been revising this for months. But I feel like a publisher, they haven't been here with me through that process. I feel like they would demand me to change some things, and if it doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna change it. Like, there's certain things I know I want to keep in my story that I don't want to change. So, I'm just worried about that. Am I thinking too much? Logan says just pitch it? Okay, fine. But it's also like, a lot of American publishers pay like shit. Let's just be honest here. A lot of them do. So like, I mean, what am I supposed to say? Fucking, why can't American comics just be like manga? So it's like huge booming industry, comics everywhere. With like, here we have comics in 7-Elevens, people read comics on their phones. There's just mangas everywhere. I don't know. Lay sigh. I mean, if you do superhero comics, it's good money, and, you know, obviously you can make a living doing that. But yeah, doing indie comics is hard, and it's hard to make like a complete living doing indie comics, and it just really disappoints me because I wish I like I wish I was born Japanese. Or I wish I had actually focused on studying Japanese. But it's like the industry there, it's all indie stuff. It's all creator owned, and it's also they made it very lucrative. But it's not really the same way in America. Man. Enough bitching. Enough bitching. Nobody wants to hear me bitch about things. I'm gonna shut up and draw. That's what I'm gonna do. Shut up and draw. That's how things get done. Alright, I'm just noodling on these backgrounds. So, ooh, that's a little too dark. Whatever. Alright. Let's see. Let me knock this back a little bit. Ah. No. I guess I should fill in Kaz's eyes a little bit. His eyes should have some shading to it. I mean, he has light eyes, but they're not like, I don't know. They still have some color. So let's do it. This is my expression every day for my entire life. Okay. Alright, so that is like the basic, my local color shading. You know what I mean? So let me save. Save. I could also add some shading to the wagon. Should I? Hold on, let me zoom out a bit and think. No, if I darken the elk too much, you won't be able to really see. Or, you know what? Maybe the back of it. Sorry, I'm like talking to myself and thinking of what to do. Okay, I think I should make the back of the elk. That's not an elk, that's a goat. Actually, I don't know what creature that is. I just drew something with like two horns. So I made a point, I don't want people to use horses in my world. Like, I just want to add a little cool touch. I'm like, people either ride deer or goats. Casimir has a pet dire elk. Everyone look up, not like the D&D dire elk, even though it's a very similar thing, but this is literally a prehistoric creature. It looks like a moose that's the size of a truck. I mean, mooses are already the sizes of a truck, but a large truck. This thing is so cool. I think the scientific name is Megaloceros. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. I remembered it because it's the coolest animal ever. And it's gigantic. It's like super majestic. But anyways, he has a pet, Megaloceros, who's like all just like snowy white. I can't wait to draw this animal. It's going to be so cool. But anyways, everybody on like the northern continent of Orion, which is where Valden is, it's people like use deer and moose and elk for transport. Like nobody really uses horses. Like I guess there's like the western continent uses horses, but we don't go there. I'm not interested in horses. Are normal. I don't want to do normal things. I want to do crazy weird things. So everybody's going to be crazy and weird, and people use deer and moose for transportation. And in the south, I guess people use like mules or goats. I guess these are goats because I was looking at a bunch of like African animals for reference. Is like kind of a gazelle but fatter. It's like a gazelle but with like a deer's body. It's like a really fat gazelle. So I'm just calling them goats because the characters had to refer to them. Just call them goats. But yeah. So in the southern continent, this is what people use to transport. Yeah, I'm a rebel. I don't do anything normally. You said my bitching has become quite entertaining. I'm glad. I'm really good at bitching. You know what? I've discovered I'm just so good at it. I shouldn't have done this on the same layer. You know, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Oh my god, stop lagging! Photoshop. It's a love-hate relationship, me and Photoshop. Alright, See, I just wanted to add like a little bit of shading to the top of the goat elk thing. Goat elk. Yeah, there you go. Goat elk. Yay. No. Whatever, I don't know what I'm doing. I just thought it would look more right if like the top of the animal had a little shading in it. That was kind of a failure. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna move on to doing the lighting now. Yay! Lighting. Lighting. What should I start with? I guess I'll just start with cause. What is the what is the lighting on this scene? Save. Control S. Save. I haven't really established the lighting for this particular shot. Well, in the page before, it was just the lighting was kind of coming from. I'm very particular about my lighting. Like this is why this comic is taking so long. Listen. So I had some scenes a few pages ago where it was like an aerial shot of the city, like the whole town of Alstad. Like it was like this big bird's eye shot. And it was, the sun was rising and Cosmere and Eva were leaving the city gates. And I took into account on the map which direction the town gates would be facing and which way the sun would be rising in, and did the lighting according to that. These details are why this comic is taking so damn long. Everybody, don't do comics like me, because it's completely pointless. Nobody will pay attention. Your publisher will be pissed at you because you'll take way too long. Just get the pages done. I need to learn to I need to learn to let things go sometimes. It's a problem. Whew. Choking again. Okay. Anyways. So being ridiculously particular about lighting is why some scenes are taking me 50 million years to do. But, so this scene, you know what? It doesn't matter. The mood is more important for this scene. It doesn't matter which direction they're walking in. They're on the Eastern Trail. You know what? Yeah, fuck it. But I guess it would help for, if the foreground was much darker. I mean, it makes sense because Cosmere has the darkest clothes anyway. So I'm going to make him darker and the midground is lighter and sort of, let's make it a little backlit. So the lighting is coming from like the mountains. Let's say, I mean, it's morning, so the sun could be rising in that direction. Let's just say that. All right. So now we've established where our light is coming from, and now we can get to shading. Some proper shading. Listen, don't do what I do, even though I'm doing a demo on how I do comics. Don't copy what I do, because it's too detailed. Read my comic, but don't do comics the way I do it. There you go. That makes sense, right? There you go. Okay, so this is my third shading layer. I'm going to turn it to, I'm sorry I keep on sniffling. It's just my life. Okay. Let's do is 27%, okay? I think so. Yeah, I guess I should just do a whole solid shade layer over cause like that. Yeah, that works. Sure. There we go. It's a little dark, but I'll knock it back a little more. So the most important thing about comics is A, legibility, B, legibility, C, legibility. So, I mean, you can draw like crap, but if your comic reads well and your storytelling is clear, it's technically a good comic. So, You see all this time I spend on the detail? What I'm saying is all this time I'm spending on all this detail is completely pointless. It's not pointless because I'm trying to rope my readers in with detailed art, but no, I mean, I just enjoy drawing detailed art. But also, the most important thing about comics is not making things look pretty, it's about things reading clearly. So that's, like, there's a bunch of things that ties into, you know, that concerns how you do layouts and stuff. Like, a good comic should read well at the layout stage. So if this page is like this teeny tiny, like, you can, at this size, you can see what's going on, right? So that's how you should think when you're designing a comic page. Like, you want everything to be legible enough. It's like a character can't be doing something really, like, for example, if it's really pivotal that a character is doing something with their hands and it's really important that the readers see what they're doing with their hands, you shouldn't put it in this shot where everything is really tiny. You should put it in the shot where you can actually see the characters, like here or something. So yeah, he's a little aggro. It's a problem. It's alright. It's my aggro boy. But making things read clearly is the most important thing. So, and part of what helps that is separating your foreground, midground, and background. So Casimir is the one in the foreground here. I'm going to just make him the darkest, probably throw some rim light on him so that pops him off of the midground and everything, so he really stands out and everything reads very, very clearly. See? Just like that. How do I not drive myself crazy with that amount of details? Are you talking about the art or the design? That sounds like it was redundant, but what I'm saying is, are you talking about like the detailed art, like how I draw like tiny little, like every hair on everything? Or are you talking about like, oh, I take into account stuff like, hey, the snow would be melted about a foot, like 1 foot on this kind of soil at this time of year, shit like that. Like, what are you talking about? Hey, Alicia! What's up? What's up, what's up? Glad you can join. Yeah, Logan, what were you saying about the detail? I mean, if it's just like the drawing detail, I don't know. I like it. So it doesn't really, like, drawing detail, I've always really liked doing it, so it doesn't really drive me crazy. Yeah, I mean, I guess I just always have a lot of patience. I am working on being faster, but I'm always working on trying to be faster. I really need to. But, like, sometimes it gets frustrating, but I just remember, like, I have a picture in my mind of how I want the page to look when it's done, and so I know that all the time I'm spending on it will be worth it, because I know exactly how I want it to look. So, oh, see? So with that shading over Casimir, that pops him out a lot more, but I'm gonna sort of push and pull some rim lighting to make that even more like three-dimensional. So I can also throw some, let's see. Yeah, let's keep that. Let's keep that way. Let's actually knock that back a little to like, let's just do 11% for now. I mean, you can always tweak things a little bit at the end, right? But let me open another layer, and this is going to be, yeah. All right, this is the proper lighting layer. All right, so, whoop. 14, let's do 35%. There we go. Usually for the, okay, see what I'm doing? I'm basically doing like what you would do if you're painting ink wash or painting in like, you know, just watercolor, like shading something in watercolors. Man, I really wish my brush tools show up on my stream. Here. It doesn't show up. That's so annoying. But anyways, I'm using, this is just, okay, I guess you can see I'm using all basic Photoshop brushes. I don't use anything complicated. I mean, sometimes for textures I've been playing around. Oh, this is, by the way, I have a newest, speaking of brushes, the newest version of Photoshop, which is the 2019 version, and it has like a spatter brush that's pretty good. There are two. One crashes my Photoshop every single time, so beware. But the second one is really good. It's not as dense, but it doesn't crash my Photoshop. So yeah, if you guys are looking for, like, I know one of the gripes about digital inking is really hard to do effects like brush strokes or like spatters. Well, the newest version of Photoshop has a pretty good spatter brush. So check that out. Upgrade your Photoshop to the newest version if you really want a good spatter brush, but figure out which one is the crashy one before you use it, because one of them crashes everything, apparently. Oh, but yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying I use, these are all basic brushes, but this is just like the flat, like here, let me just do like one show. See, this is like that flat brush with just pressure sensitivity turned on. So, just like really basic brush. And I want, like, I want the brush strokes to show a little bit, just like a little bit. So, I'm shading, here's what, just to kind of tell you guys what I'm doing. I'm doing my shading on this layer of, like, this is like the details, right? See, like this area of his ear would be in shadow, but like I'm doing all the shading at like about 35%. It looks really dark now, but when I'm done, I'm gonna knock it back to like about like 17 or 20%, like that. But see, you can still see some of the brush strokes, and I want that because it makes things look more organic and textural, right? So you got to balance, like strike a balance. Well, you don't have to, but I'm saying, like, for my style that I'm going for, I wanted to strike a balance between like cleanliness and texture. So like you want things to read clearly, but I also want things to be very textural. So it's like figure out the structure of things first, define it clearly, and then add like restrained texture and detail within. Did that make sense? That made no sense, but that's kind of how I try to work. Okay. What are you guys, oh yeah, yes, I talked about my Indiegogo, Alicia, and I talked about, I complained about pitching to a publisher, more like talked about pitching to a publisher. I complained about, I felt like it was constraining, and I feel like a publisher would just think I'm a crazy person because this is like a really weird project, and the way I want to do it is really weird, and I'm kind of particular about, like, I want to do things my way. Yeah, they're gonna hate me. But I gotta try. I gotta get over myself and just try and pitch, you know. You never know unless you try. I mean, I'm also thinking of, I am considering Image, of course, because Image is like the ultimate, you know, do whatever you want publisher, right? So, Image is on my list. I don't really, the thing is, I mean, yeah, I think the people I know, I don't know if like, I have contacts at Image, but I can figure it out. I don't know. Or I'll just go to New York Comic Con and like go bother them editors. I found a really cool looking small publisher called Vault Comics that I am writing up a pitch for right now. They look really good, and they do fantasy books only. So everything they publish is fantasy, and it's all creator owned, and they look pretty cool. It's a small company. It's like family owned, which I like. Like I want to help with small publishers because I support indie comics. Like superhero comics are cool, but I've always been more of an indie person. Like I read a lot of Image and IDW, and Vertigo before they shut down. Let's talk. Let's not talk. Let's not talk about Vertigo because I'm gonna go on forever. But yeah, Vertigo is shutting down, by the way, and I'm like pretty bummed out about it, and I don't understand why they did it. But I want to support small publishers, but the thing is, a lot of them are so unreliable. It's painful, but I've heard good things about Vault Comics, so I'm gonna give them a shot. Like, you never know. You know, I kind of like I hit up some people that work for them on Twitter, and I mean, they liked my tweet and they interacted. It seems pretty cool because a lot of publishers, they don't really interact with like people that are talking about them, and I like that. They're a small company and they seem really interactive with their creators and stuff. So don't disappoint me. I've heard good things. Also, people have been telling me to pitch to Oni, but I'm like, does this style look like Oni? I know I'm like constraining myself again by saying, oh no, I don't want to pitch to, like, I'm kind of assuming the style that a publisher wants, right, before even trying to pitch to them. But like, really, it's also kind of because I have pitched to Oni before. They're the one publisher I have pitched to before, and they're kind of like, yeah, that's not what we're looking for. It was years ago, and it's not like I'm gonna be, butthurt about it and not pitch to them again, but it's like, their stuff is just not this. It's really cartoony. Like, that's most of their stuff. On the plus side, they have a lot of series with a bit of a manga influence. So that's another thing I'm worried about. Like, I have a slight manga influence, which might weird a lot of American publishers out. But I actually think this would work well for the audience, because like people our age, like I'm targeting people in their 20s and 30s. That's my target audience. And people our age, a huge chunk of them that would pick up a comic book at all have read manga or watched anime. And I think it would be a benefit that I have like a slight manga influence. I'm not making it overt, but it just shows through. Like, it's kind of inevitable when I draw my natural style, right? And I think that's a benefit, but I also think it would freak out traditional American publishers. I'm just worrying too much. I'm just worrying too much. Maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. What was I saying about, what other publishers are? So Vertigo shut down. They're being merged into DC Black. Like, DC is starting a new label. They're doing like DC Kids, DC something else, I guess, like normal DC stuff. And then like DC Black label, which is their more adult themed comics. So they're apparently going to merge some of their Vertigo titles over to to DC Black. So I mean, I guess it would be cool if DC is transforming into a company that does both superhero comics and their own, IP, but they also have a branch that takes creator-owned ideas. That would be really cool. And I think Marvel has done something similar like that, but it's really rare. And like, that's what I would like to see American comics, like the big publishers, move towards. Like, it's cool that, there are these companies with their own universes and stuff, but it's also like, I also like being able to branch out into seeing, completely independent universes, because that's like a whole new discovery, right? It's like, we're familiar with all these characters like Batman and Spider-Man, and I want to see more of them, but once in a while I want to just see a complete new world with completely new rules, and I want to be able to see it, because like, and for people to see it, you need these big publishers to, distribute these stories, and you need to make it easier for indie creators to get their books out there, which is rather hard in American comics because it's all superhero comics. It would be cool if DC was taking more independent stuff, and they had a branch that did all creator-owned, material. But it's also possible that they're just gonna merge like their creator-owned IP into the DC universe, which, whatever, no comment. Maybe, I don't know, I have no idea. I guess if it's done well, but I don't know. No judgment. I'm gonna just wait and see. I don't know the direction anything is going in, and it's all a little confusing. But yeah, man, I just want to see more avenues for doing like independent comics in the States, which is very, very complicated. Oh my god, so laggy. So you can see I'm just doing like all the tiny little, this is the part that takes forever, but like this is really relaxing. I think this is why people like this part of like shading and doing the lighting is why people like coloring, sort of. Like it's very relaxing for me to just like, usually I'll put on a podcast because I don't have to, this is very mindless. Like I don't have to think too much about what I'm doing. Like I know where the lighting is coming from, so I'm just like kind of mechanically shading, you know, putting all the shades in and filling in the details and stuff. It's very cathartic. But this stage also takes forever, but I can do it like in my sleep. Have you guys seen those like adult coloring books where I mean it's adult coloring books basically. I'm thinking of doing one because I have a lot of line art pieces that are really detailed and people have said that they would suit a coloring book pretty well. But I don't really understand why adult coloring books are like kind of a thing, because I guess because I already draw all day. I'm like, why do you think it's relaxing to color? Like why would you color things to relax? I don't understand. I mean, maybe normal people find that relaxing. It's like you're doing flats. Like flatting is the worst part of the process. Like besides from like ruling panel borders, it's like ruling panel borders and doing lettering are pulling teeth, and flatting is pulling fingernails. Like it's the most annoying part of doing comics. Oh, adult coloring book makes sense for me? Yeah, I can probably put one. I've been thinking of it. I have a bunch of pieces I've been slowly collecting in a folder. I was like, yeah, maybe I can print like a little coloring book to sell at cons and stuff. I mean, I have my art book, but like considered making my art book a coloring book? I could, but I thought about it more and I wanted to put a lot of like, well, I would like to print it in color if I have enough money for it. But even if not, I wanted to do a lot of like shaded sort of ink washy pieces in it, so I don't think I would. And you need like really, I want like, if you do a coloring book, you need thick paper that can take color markers well. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. But I think, yeah, I can do another coloring book that's a smaller book, but like nice quality paper. It's doable. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe. It's because I'm afraid of coloring. Well, I'm not very good at it. And before anybody says my coloring is passable, it took me like 10 years of work to get to a point where my coloring was not crap. Like, you understand? I don't know, some people are just, everyone, so like, practice is important, okay, when you're doing art, but also just like everybody's mind is geared towards a certain thing. It's a fact. Like some people are naturally more geared to certain things, and I see this in some of my friends. A lot of people I know are naturally just really good at colors, and I don't understand that at all. I don't think in colors. I don't think in lighting. Like, I think in structure, right? So like drafting and building things and doing perspective, right? And line art. But like some people are just really good at colors, and I really like, to me, I really admire that. They just have like an instinct for it, but I don't. And it's painful. Why? Yeah, that's why I don't paint a lot. I've learned to do some painting, but just not very natural at it. Line art is the best. I can do detailed line art all day. Alright. I think it's pretty much somewhat done. Costing your space. Oh no, okay. The side of, yeah. This kind of default lighting, but the side of his nose would also be in shadow a little bit. Sure, I'm gonna see a ton of problems with it. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a soft brush now, cause the shading around like the facial area is very subtle, so I want those gradients to be subtle. So I'm switching back to away from that hard brush. You don't, like I said, I wanted some texture. You don't want, you don't want, I mean, unless you're drawing an old person, but Casimir's not, obviously he's pretty young. So I want the shading on the face to be like softer like that. So like the side area of the nose is a little weird, honestly. It does this thing like, it does this. So there's like, look in the mirror, like how the flesh there goes. It kind of goes down a little here and here in front of your eye and like here, like at the nostrils. But it fans out towards the middle, if that makes any sense. But you gotta get that right. If you get that right, it helps the realism of your faces a lot. Let me darken that as well. Darken that plane. You're forgetting the lighting is kind of up but back. Okay, anyways. This is all wrong. It's all wrong. Oh my gosh. See. A little bit too. Okay, I'm doing the lighting a lot darker, but I'm gonna knock it back in a second. Right. There we go. There we go. The light at the top of his nose ridge would be bright. That's the top here, and the nostrils would catch more light. There we go. See, that's starting to look a little bit more normal. The cheeks would also have light falling on them. Lighten here. And under the eyebrows. I'm sure I'm gonna go back and tweak it a little bit. That looks about right though. Alright, I'm gonna do his mouth. A little shading below the upper lip. The lower lip. Oh no, that's a little too far. Yeah. Just like that. Alrighty. Let me save. Save. That looks about right. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. Yay! Alright. Oh no. Let me fill in this a little bit more. Oh my gosh. Ah! So I'm trying to get to like page 22. I'm putting together a preview book for New York Comic Con. And I'm trying to think of what to do for the preview book, because I want to just like, basically I want it to be a pitch book, but I want it to be sort of like an exclusive little thing. Like it's just the first 22 pages, which is actually just half of my first chapter, because like I said, I do like 40 to 45 page chapters. The full chapter 1 is, how many pages was it? Chapter 1 is 41 pages. But I wanted to do a preview book up until like, well, if I can get a few pages further, but like I'm aiming for page like 22 or so. But I'm thinking of adding in some of the concept work, the sketches, and doing like kind of, it's half the comic pages, but then like kind of an art book in the back. So I have all the penciled pages and all the character sketches and like kind of some extra material just for, like I want to make something for people that are going to support this comic early on, because this is super early in the process, and if someone like buys a preview book or you know, like I'm thinking of sending it to higher tier patrons as well. Like if you're supporting the comic at an early stage, I want to reward you for it, right? So I'm trying to think of what to put in it right now. Don't really know. But I think just a lot of the concept work, the pages, some of the work in progress stuff. Basically a lot of the stuff I've been posting on Patreon. But yeah, I post a lot of process work and stuff on Patreon that I don't post anywhere else, obviously. Like my whole Patreon is geared towards this comic. But maybe I can put all that stuff into the preview book, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Does that seem like a good idea? Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Not sure. I think this lighting looks more or less right. Somewhat. Yeah, sure. That looks right. That's passable. Actually, I'm gonna, oh, okay, hold on. So this like cloak plate thing has been, talk about making things more complicated for myself. But actually, this is why working digital is great, because for this plate, you see it's really complicated, right? But I actually have just, whoops, I moved it too far. I have the plate designed, I have a design for the plate drawn as just like the front view of it, and I just transform it onto every time I draw costume. And it's only for this chapter. I mean, spoilers, the cloak gets ripped later, changes into another cloak. But, like, it's, also when I'm designing things, I take into account, like, how many pages will I have to draw this? If it's only for a couple of pages, I can make it really detailed. If it's for the entire book, I need to make it simple. You have to take into account these things. But for stuff like this plate or any complicated patterns, which, like, I want to do... Like, I don't know, the sort of the designs and the culture that, you know, I want to, like, I want the culture to feel real. I want the designs to show through, like, sort of Valden and the surrounding countries where my characters are now is kind of based on kind of a merger of Nordic and Slavic culture. And I want to, like, do these really cool intertwined designs and stuff, so I want that stuff to show through. So to do that, basically I'm doing, like, I can do the design on, for example, for this plate on just like a frontal shot, and I transform it every time I need to draw it in a panel, and I just tweak it or I ink over like the base design, so I don't have to actually draw it from scratch every single time. It kind of speeds things up, and that's one of the nice things about working digitally. But yeah. That's another way to keep yourself from going crazy when you're doing way too much detail on your comic. Way too much detail. But this chest plate has kind of, or this clasp, has kind of raised areas over here, like that. By the way, guys, I'm planning a trip to go to Iceland. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so much fun. Sorry, I sound like a crazy person, but like, dude, I've never been, and I've been thinking of going for a while. And I figured, so I have some free time after New York Comic Con before I have to go start a new job, basically. So I figured, why not? Like, it's really close to fly from New York, so I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm going with a bunch of friends. I thought I was going to do a solo trip, but then a bunch of my friends said they want to go too, and that's great. It's always better to travel like as a group. I love like road trip things. It's going to be so much fun. So, yep, I am pretty excited. It's gonna be freezing cold, which I won't like, but it'll be really pretty, which I will like. I'm hoping to catch the Northern Lights. I've never seen the Northern Lights because I'm like a Southern girl. I'm from, you know, tropical island, and I've always lived in, I mean, I don't really see the Northern Lights anywhere in America, and I've been in Canada like twice. So, yeah, I want to see that, and just, I'm also hoping to do some research if possible. Like there's a Viking museum, of course I'm going to go see that and do research kind of for my comic because I'm really interested in that history and all that stuff. So it's going to be so much fun. I'm going to take a lot of pictures because I want to draw a lot of really beautiful landscapes and like weird landscapes, and Iceland has a lot of that. They have like geysers and volcanic landscapes and places to go snorkeling. Probably not gonna go snorkeling because it's gonna be early, like it's gonna be in fall, and fall in Iceland is gonna be basically, I'm sure it's gonna feel like Antarctica. Logan, what do you mean Iceland really? You're going too! What are you acting surprised about? Oh my gosh. But yup. Iceland. I've been planning. Oh yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's guys, if you ever go to Iceland, I'm gonna I will post pictures. There's this is so lewd. There's a phallological museum. Look it up. You'll figure out what it is on your own. It's classic. I can't believe they have one of those. But yeah, I'm gonna check that out as well. It sounds entertaining. I hear Reykjavik is just fantastic and a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I'm gonna go and just freeze my ass off and take pretty pictures for a week. So excited. Really do stuff like whale watching too, but I don't know if I want to be out on the sea in the fall. I think I just want to hike and go to hot springs and not be on the sea where I'll be, you know, getting seawater splashed all over me by whales and shit. Like, that doesn't sound very pleasant. That doesn't sound pleasant at all. Man, if anybody has been to Iceland before, message me and let me know. Yeah, I have a couple friends that have gone, but if anyone lives there, that would be really cool. I feel like I must know one or two people that live there or did live there. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people. And there's some like gaming companies. CCP is in Iceland. I wasn't at CCP for long. I actually interned at CCP, but it was a long time ago, so I don't know if I still know anybody that is like currently in Iceland. But if you are there, if you know anybody there, like hit me up. Yeah, man, I'm gonna be there for a week, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna have to meet up and just get like super drunk. Yay! It'll be great. Alright, so I'm kind of done with that area. So let me knock that back a little bit. I'm gonna switch back to the soft brush because I'm gonna shade the furry part. See here? There. I mean, this is really, it's kind of intuitive, basic stuff. Think of it as you're doing, how do you say it in English? I'm blanking on the English word. You're just like doing a pencil sketch, like in art school, like sketching something, you know, for like drawing 101 classes. You're just shading things. So, very basic. This part, just basic lighting. So darken that a bit. Just like that. Oh, come on, Photoshop. see, what time is it? Oh, it's only 12. Oh, it's 12. No wonder I'm starving. It's okay. I'm gonna continue until, I guess I can also shade Ivar. Casimir always takes a while because there's so much detail on him, like his cloak and hair and everything. He has really weird hairstyle, right? So I don't even know. I had, like, why did I even do this hairstyle for him? Oh wait, the shading is kind of, I need to erase that right there. You know what's funny? His hair, and him and his brother, he has a brother who's dead. It's not a spoiler because it's the first scene in the comic, but I based them, I'm a weeaboo, I based them on the Elric brothers. So that's why he has like the kind of spiky hair that parts in the middle, and his brother has a pony, well, not a ponytail, a braid, like it's braided in the back. Like, their personalities are nothing like the Elric brothers, but I'm a big FMA fan, so yeah, their design is like very slightly based on them. But for Casimir, I gave him like these weird little braids. It's like, I call it a double rat tail. It would look stupid, but I try my best to make it not look like, it sounds like a stupid idea, but like, let's pretend I can make a double rat tail look fashionable. So just humor me that this actually looks fashionable, okay? Let's pretend I'm good at character design. But I added that because I thought it would add motion for like fight scenes, because there's a lot of fights, and there's like, you know, the comic is calm for most, like it's kind of like half really calm and slow, and then half of it is just bloody action. So there are a lot of mood swings in this comic, but I wanted something to add motion, and I didn't want to give him long hair because that seems like, you know, people could grab it gets in the way. So I did this braid thing, and I kind of like, their whole culture is a lot of people do like braids, like elaborate braids with their hair, and I just decided to give a lot of people rat tails. Like Ivar also has a rat tail, see in the back, but he kind of just wears it as a ponytail. So there's all kinds of braids and rat tails everywhere. I'm just, I don't know. I was gonna say I'm bringing back the 80s, but rat tails are like an 80s thing, right? Or is it a 90s thing? It's not a mullet. I'm not bringing back mullets, dear God, no. Anyways, me being good at character design. Good. There's another character that took me forever to nail down. This girl called Ragna. I can't wait to introduce her. She's so crazy and she's so much fun. But she doesn't come into the story until like chapter 4, and I'm a little bummed out. She's basically my Asuka. Like, she's kind of a similar, but she's a spellcasters in Felden are called runecasters, and basically what they do is, it's not just like, I have a very hard magic system, and what that means is my magic system, the rules are very clearly defined. There are like a set number of domains. There's a set rules for what kinds of material each domain can manipulate, and how, like, you know, it's about every magic is, how do I explain this? So good at explaining things. So backing up, magic is something that only humans can use. There are other races in my world, such as a race called the Ulanke, which is the race that my character Yomi is, but they have different supernatural abilities. But like magic, no one calls it magic, but it's magic. Magic is something that only humans can use, and in like every culture has found a different way to manipulate magic. And basically what magic is it's humans can channel and manipulate astral energy, and astral energy is basically energy from the astral realm, which is basically the dream plane. So people who are well versed in magic, you have to study it. It's like the same concept as wizards in like Dungeons and Dragons. You have to study magic. Like all humans have an innate ability or potential to learn magic, but no one is like, say, just a complete genius at it. You can be talented, but the way I kind of designed it is, the logic behind it is, it's like just like drawing. Like, some people can be more talented at it, but you have to train, you have to study for it for years, and like that's about the same length of time and the same kind of progression for learning to, cast spells or rune cast is the same as like how, like in my mind, is about the same as like how long it would take for people to learn drawing. So, and people in every culture, the system that people use to channel astral energy and apply magic is different, but on Orion, the spellcasters are called shamans. And the skill of casting magic is called rune casting, because the way that they channel the energy is they draw, it's kind of like FMA again. I'm a really big fan of FMA, but it's also different because they channel astral energy into like a rune in the air, and it's like a mathematical calculation of the effect that they want to apply, and that's how magic is done. It'll make a lot more sense when I draw it. It will make sense when I draw it, but basically, that's how it works. So Ragna's one of my spellcaster characters, and I can't wait to introduce her. She's kind of a bitch, but I love her. Yeah. She's colorful. Yes, I cannot stand soft magic systems. So I adore Song of Ice and Fire. And I also, obviously, I love Lord of the Rings. But one of the things I can't stand from these things is a soft magic system. And I'm very much a hard magic system kind of person. So, the magic system I designed is very much set rules. And it's pretty cool because there's, I have multiple cultures in my world. And so we start out with how people on Orion and Valdens use magic. So people on Orion in the northern continent, they use magic by, the way they use magic is called rune casting. Their spellcasters are called shamans. But in the south, in Druba, there's spellcasting is vocal. It's sung. So they manipulate astral energy by singing, and it's usually done in a group. So it's not just one person. I think I'm going to call them people who it's chanting. So they chant certain spells, I guess, over and over again, or songs, and it the larger the group of people that are chanting it, the more powerful the effect is. So it takes the magic system in Druba, the way people use magic there, it takes longer to apply, so it's probably not exactly useful for if you're in battle, for example in Valden, when my character Ragna uses magic, it's very fast because there's different ways to you can draw the rune for the effect you want, but if you're really proficient with a certain rune and effect, you can be so well versed at that particular rune that you develop a shorthand for it, and that's called a knack, and you can draw it really quickly. And so basically spellcasters that are very high level in Orion and also in Taya, which is my Eastern Asia style continent, they can basically be battle blasters, right? But in Druba, the way they use magic isn't exactly, that doesn't really apply to being a blaster in battle. But because it's if a large group of people come together and they chant a spell together, they can create larger effects. So they can raise the earth, they can create ocean waves. It just takes longer and takes a lot of people, but they can create larger effects. So there's different cultural differences in how people use magic, but it's all essentially using the same type of energy. I got really into the world building, as you can tell. I've spent over a year just doing nothing but hermiting up and writing for this world. So yeah. There's a lot to it. Not crazy. Logan, you asked why did I go with a hard or soft magic system? I just like hard magic systems more. I can see the benefit of a soft magic system. It's more, if you write a soft magic system, which is what I see in most fantasy books, is technically a soft magic system. Sometimes you'll have roughly defined abilities, generally what each X-Men can do, for example, like what they can manipulate, like who are the psychics, who are the shapeshifters, blah 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 blah. But in most fantasy that I've read, it's a very soft magic system, and I guess there's a benefit to that, and you can make it more malleable, it can fit the story more, right? And as in, like, you don't have to think too much about you don't have to force the reader to think, like, focus on the logic of things. You can just focus on, hey, whatever effect serves the emotional tone of the story, that's how the magic matches the emotional tone of the story. But here's why I chose a hard magic system, because I want the progression the characters make to be very clear. Because, well, obviously you want your characters to develop, but beyond that, a major theme in my story is about gaining knowledge. It's about, like, there's a bunch of, I guess it's more of a motif, but like the search for knowledge, search for truth, and like learning is a really big theme in my story, and people, like, the characters say it over and over again. And like Casimir, he's the major protagonist, and his journey is about, like, so he starts out as a really good fighter, but basically the story is that's not just being good at fighting was not enough for him. So he eventually learned spell casting. There's a lot more to it, of course, but and there's other characters, like even Ragna. She's very talented, but she has a lot more to learn, because her journey is about not just, like, she's already good at spellcasting, but she can be even better. And it's also about her learning to use spellcasting to do good, because she starts out really materialistic. She doesn't really care about helping people, even though shamans are supposed to, like, they're kind of a formal order. They're trained to use their magic for good, and they're usually assigned to cities and stuff to, like, help people. But Ragna doesn't approach it that way, and her journey is about using magic to, help people and do good. But because I have all these characters that progress in their ability to use magic and stuff, and not just magic, but even like the supernatural abilities that other races have that I haven't so much like mentioned a lot yet. I want it to be very apparent when they improve. I want the readers to really notice, like, they're moving forward and they're developing and learning. So that's why I chose a hard magic system. Long story short. Yep. Hope that made sense. Basically, I overthought everything. Surprise! Surprise, surprise. Let me save. Save. Ooh, it's getting late. I'm gonna finish up Casimir and probably do a little work on Ivar. But then I'm gonna head off and get some food. But not yet, because I'm not hungry. And it's noon here, and and what is food? Whatever. I don't need to eat. So I switched back to a hard brush, and oops, that was a little too prominent. So I kind of did like some, you can see on the fur, I did some light general shading with the soft brush, and I switched back to the hard edge brush right now. So I'm adding like some, you see like little highlights. Like, that's a really nice way to do fur. So lay down a base, like a soft, like, generally, like, this is the gradation of a curve, like the general, you get what I mean? Like the general curvature of the shading, the lighting, and then you add in the textures with the hard brush. So yeah, that's what I mean. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm going to shade his shirt as well. Pretty much, I'm almost done with him. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think this band over here should also be a little darker. Is that a little too textural? Let's see. That's a little too dark. That works as well. I'm gonna add in a little the class would kind of dip a little bit at the middle, so I'm gonna shade that in a bit. I'm just noodling the lighting at this point, but I think I go a little like too detailed. But ideally I would like to have, I don't want to do everything myself. I know it seems like I want to just be a control freak and do this whole comic myself. I do want to do the art. I know I'm very particular about how I want things to look, but I would like assistant to do shading. I'm definitely not going to do colors. I think that's another thing. I feel like a publisher would want a comic in color. Even though I think, I don't know, I guess color could work, but I would want to find a colorist. I'm not coloring this, right? And I guess color could benefit the comic. It's not like strict, but I also think it's not necessary. But maybe I think that way because I read so much manga. And like color is nice. Like I know what colors everything should be, and I have like a color palette, and the color design for the entire comic is in my head. That's because I have to do the covers and for things like, and I'm also doing limited colored interior pages every chapter. Like again, kind of how it's done in manga, where every chapter, like at the beginning or for really important scenes, you do them in color, right? But I don't think it's strictly necessary for this comic to be in color, but I guess if I feel like the American market is really used to like color comics, so yeah, I'll probably end up having to hire a colorist, but yeah, I don't actually want to do all of the art myself. Definitely having a letterer would be nice. That would be really nice. I don't want to do that myself. I someone to do the shading. When I can afford it, I want to have some guest art for the covers and stuff, but when I can afford it. When I can afford it. When. Oh, dude, it's getting like super hot. I have the AC blasting all day, which I don't want to do because it's expensive, but it's so freaking hot, and like this year is exceptionally hot. By the way, where I am is like noon right now, so, and like I'm on a tropical island, so it's super freaking hot, and I have the AC blasting all day, and it's still like really stuffy, and I have a fan going next to me, but I don't want to turn it on too loud because it'll, like, you'll hear it over the microphone, but yeah. Noontime and I'm starting to suffocate. Taiwan, why? Okay, I think I'm pretty much done with Cosme. I know. No. Shade. Okay. Alrighty. And I'm gonna, ooh, his ear should be darker. Bring back the mullets. Really? Should I bring back the mullets though? Should I do Evar? I guess I will. I'll do some like basic shading on Evar, but it's the same general concept. So, okay, actually. So basically, let me review all the shading layers I've done. And his hair also is a little off over here, so I'm gonna fix that. That area should be darker because the lighting is coming from the back and the top. So, yeah, let's see. Lighten that a bit. Yeah, so let's see. I started out, yeah, I think I'll just do Casimir, but let me like review what I've done so far. So like I started with just like the base, the first like general sort of base value layer. Like this is just, you know, filling in the things that are dark. This is like darker tone. I have that set to about 50%, and then the second lighter like base value layer, I have that set to 30%. Sometimes it's 25%, but that's for the lighter objects. It's just the fill I put on it, and then I have like I mean, this is only for sometimes I want to throw a shade over an entire foreground or background or whatever. And then this is like my sort of painting layer, right? Like if I turn all the other shading off, this is what it looks like. It's just I'm painting on the texture and all the details and sort of adding more dimension to something. So yeah, hopefully that was a decent demo of how I do my shading. But before we go, hey, you guys want to see my website for Fiendish? This will be pretty cool. So let me give you guys a treat and show you my website. So right now, access to the website is for patrons only, but I'll show you guys just like a sneak peek because I'm really excited, and I'll have it go live sooner or later. I just bought the domain name. Let's see. How do I pull it up? There we go. Ooh, cool. So I bought the domain name, and it's just fiendishcomic.com. So excited. I have to see how it fits on my screen capture. Yeah, check it out. So there's like this illustration at the top that I'm not done with yet. It's just so much to draw. Like I have the interior pages, I have the illustrations, and I have to manage other things like the art book and other work to do. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna stop bitching about all the work I have to do. But I have a preview page here. These are the previews I have so far, and some of these aren't done yet. See the page over here is page 16 is the one that I'm finishing up right now, and I have I have a world map here. But this isn't the full world map. I think this is just like the continent, like the continental map of Orion. But I kind of cropped it because I felt like I didn't want to post. I have like a larger, like not the whole world, but I have an expanded map of the entire area of my world, which is where like 3 of the major continents meet. It's called the Great Conflux. And I have a map of the entire Great Conflux, which is like 3 Orion and like 2 other continents meeting. But I think I should just put that full map on here. I'm not sure yet, because I feel like it would be a little overwhelming because readers don't really need to know about like the other parts of the world until much further on in the story, but we'll see. I'm not sure yet. I have character profiles. Hirio. I only have 3. Those aren't quite done yet, but I started with Cosmo, Ivar, and Yomi. I'm gonna add like most of the main cast later. But yeah, I am so excited, and I mean, this is open to patrons first, so like all the details in the character profiles, and you know I think I'm gonna post my magic system on there. I'm not sure yet. That's for patrons for now. But when it's ready and when I have like the intro art banner done, I will post that for everyone. Oh yeah, and here's my art book on Indiegogo. Go check it out. It's called Regrowth. Yay! Okay, I'm done showing off my website stuff. Yay! Back to Photoshop. All right, I think I'm gonna go and grab lunch. I want to zoom in on that panel. Sure, everyone. But thank you guys for joining me for this art stream. Let's see. Before I go, let me thank my patrons that are supporting me on Patreon. I got a lot of new patrons this month, which is really awesome. Thank you guys so much. So thank you to Dennis Sarazin, Jason Doring, Jerry Orda, Joshua Kazakavicius, Scooby-kun, Bakuhaku, who is a new patron. Thank you very much. And to Kevin, just Kevin. You didn't no other name, but Kevin is also a new patron, so thank you very much. And a few other people that pledged less than $5, which I don't do shout outs for on my videos and art streams I do like $5 and up, but thank you anyways, and thank you so much for your support. My whole Patreon is geared towards my comic exclusively. Like I post it's mostly my comic stuff, but it's so I can like spend some time not taking like so much freelance work and focus on getting Fiendish done. So you guys are helping me out a lot, and I'm eternally grateful. So anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Thank you guys so much for joining, and yeah, follow me to see when I do another art stream, and follow Fiendish. Yay! All right, bye everybody.